Hello again, this is Dr. Kathleen Cross, and I hope that you have been having good success narrowing and focusing your capstone project topics in the last couple weeks. In this presentation, I'd like to talk with you more about focusing your research methods as part of your capstone project. So specifically, I want to go over how to write a clear purpose statement. I'd also like to talk to you about tips to formulate a great research question or questions to guide your research project. I'd also like to talk about choosing research methods and your research instruments for your capstone project. And I know that many of you have not had a research methods course before, so this presentation and the other articles and documents in this course are geared to help give you a basic understanding or overview of these topics for your capstone project. So let's first take a look at what a purpose statement is and how to write a clear purpose statement. Essentially, a purpose statement is a sentence that provides the major objective or intent of your capstone project. And the purpose statement should fulfill the following criteria. First of all, it should be a single sentence, just one sentence that tells the reader the purpose of your project. It also should include a central phenomena of the topic you are studying, such as attrition of African American students or something along those lines for your capstone project. For qualitative projects, the purpose statement often uses qualitative words, such as explore, assess, understand, discover. And for quantitative studies, they'll use quantitative words, such as determine, cause, or effect. In the purpose statement, it's also good to identify the participants in your project, such as students, faculty, admission counselors, if possible, and also to state the location of the project, whether it be at community colleges in Maine, at 3 private suburban Chicago universities, at 5 HBCUs in the South, whatever it may be. It's good if you can define that. And also, you'll want to be avoiding any kind of finite words such as solve, prove, determine. With a limited population sample size that you're going to have, you cannot determine something like that with absolute certainty, so you should steer away from words like that in a purpose statement. So to help you get started on writing your purpose statement, I wanted to give you a simple roadmap, if you will. This is a general roadmap that may help get you started writing your purpose statement. So you start writing the purpose statement very simply and clearly with the purpose of this paper, and then is to understand, explore, assess, describe, then you add the topic of your study, for the participants in the study, at the sites or institutions where you conduct your project. Now, I want to be clear that you can vary from this roadmap. This is just intended to be a general guide to get you started thinking about your purpose statement and the focus of your topic. So let's now take a look at some of the actual purpose statements of some successful capstone projects in this master's program and what they did in their purpose statements. So the first purpose statement is as follows. The purpose of this paper is to explore what retention and degree completion data is being collected for non-traditional adult undergraduates at mid-sized 4-year private institutions in the state of Connecticut. So let's take a look at this. First, we have the phrase, the purpose of this paper, which clearly points out to the reader that this is a purpose statement. And this is followed by a verb. You see the word explore used here. That indicates that this is going to be a qualitative research study for the most part. And I'll get into that a little bit more later. Then the verb is followed by the topic of the paper. What retention and degree completion data is being collected? And that's followed by the population of the topic, non-traditional adult undergraduate students. And you see how narrowed that population is here? And then finally, the site or institution where the student intends to conduct the project at mid-sized 4-year private institutions in the state of Connecticut. So that is a great example of a very clear purpose statement. Now, here's a second example of a successful capstone project purpose statement, which is the purpose of this paper is to assess the use of social media strategy and measurement tools by colleges and universities in the recruitment process and provide recommendations on the development of social media strategy and applicable measurement metrics. So let's look at this one more closely. First, we see again the purpose of the paper, and then that's followed by the verb assess. Assess usually indicates a qualitative study, and it may also have some quantitative elements as well, so it may be a bit mixed methods since there's some indication of measurement metrics. Then the verb is followed by the general topic, the use of social media strategy and measurement tools by colleges and universities, etc. Now you see here that the population and the institutions are not provided in this example. And I think that this is the case mainly due to the complexity of this topic and the length of the purpose statement. In this case, the author chose to define the population and institutions in a follow-up statement. And that can happen too when you've got a very long purpose statement. So now let's take a look at research methods. And what I'm providing you here is by no means a comprehensive review of research methods, but I wanted to give you more of a quick introduction to some of the basic types of research methods if you haven't had a research course in the past. And this is pretty much what you'd need to know to be able to complete a capstone project. So for the purposes of a capstone project, the major types of research methods you're going to need to know and discuss are quantitative research, qualitative research, and mixed methods research. And mixed methods research is really a combination of qualitative and quantitative research. And in the next few slides, I'm going to give you a brief overview of each of these. So let's take a look first at quantitative research. So what is quantitative research? Well, very simply, quantitative research involves collecting information or data in the form of numbers. It allows us to measure or quantify something. Quantitative research uses close-ended questions or scales to allow numeric data and ensure high levels of reliability. So, as an example, if you wanted to look at the number of people who have PhDs or the number of Latinos with PhDs, you might use quantitative data. These are measurable and quantifiable questions. And a hint there is quantitative comes from the word quantity. So you're looking at numbers, percentages, averages. Let me point out here that most serious quantitative research requires statistical analysis. So the use of t-tests, NOVA or ANOVA, Pearson correlations to show statistical significance. So unless you're a statistician or you've taken a statistical research methods course previously, you should only consider simple numbers, averages, and percentages in your capstone project if you're considering an element of quantitative research. You don't need to worry about determining statistical significance in your capstone project. So now let's take a look at qualitative research. So what is qualitative research? And again, I'm giving you a very high-level simplified overview here. Well, qualitative research is exploratory in nature, and it is used when we don't know what to expect. We don't really know exactly what the answer is going to be. That's a good indication that you're going to be looking at qualitative research. It helps us deepen our understanding of something, and usually it means going beyond just simply the numbers and statistics. Qualitative research allows for the exploration of perceptions and opinions, and for a more in-depth look at a topic. It provides richer and thicker data and information. And now we're going to look at the mixed method, the third type of research methods. So what is mixed methods? Well, simply stated, mixed methods, as I mentioned before, is a combination of qualitative and quantitative research methods. It's usually referred to as mixed or multi-method approach. And that allows for the combination of both numerical data and perceptions, ideas, and opinions. So with mixed methods, you could show the number and percentages of a response and then follow up with the reason that the participants picked those. A mixed methods approach may contain both open and closed-ended questions if you're having a survey or an interview or something like that. And often, when you do see a survey, you may see a mixed methods approach. I actually used that in my dissertation for my survey instruments. I used a mixed methods approach in my survey. So now let's turn our attention to the research itself. The research question itself. It's an area I find most students being the most nervous about and not sure how to approach it. But it's really not that difficult if you have a roadmap and some pointers, and I'm going to give you that right now. So let's first answer the question, why are research questions so important? Well, according to Light, Singer, and Willett, well-crafted questions guide the systematic planning of research, and formulating questions precisely enables you to design a study with the good chance of answering them. So, in other words, a great research question will help you stay focused on the purpose of your project. It will help you identify outcome variables and key predictors of the variables. It'll help you determine what types of methods are needed, whether they be qualitative, quantitative, or mixed. And it can also even help you determine the type and number of institutions and participants in your project. So it's a good way to help you focus and stay focused on your topic. The type of research questions are also very important because they help you determine the research methods that you're going to use. It can also help you determine the participants in your project. So let me show you how that works. Generally speaking, a qualitative research study seeks to learn why, how, or what about your topic. So therefore, the research question must be directed at determining the what, the how, or the why of your capstone project. And simply speaking, a quantitative study seeks to learn what or which, and at times where. Therefore, the research question and the research should be determined at determining the what or the which of the research topic. To help explain that a little bit more, let me get you started on a research question, and let me give you a roadmap for qualitative and quantitative research questions. So first, the qualitative research method roadmap. So it would be stated something like this. How or what is the topic of your study for the participants at the location in the university or the area that you're going to study? So the qualitative research question will often begin with words such as how or what or why. At times, you may use words such as perceive or view if you're looking more at opinions or ideas. And then you tell the reader that you're attempting to assess, to understand, explore, to describe, to identify. So let me give you some sample research questions to make that a little bit more clear and understandable. Here are a few of them. And these were used in actual capstone projects. What personal and professional barriers hinder and or delay Latinos from attaining senior leadership opportunities in the field? How can admissions directors at small private institutions in Maine improve the recruitment of transfer students? And you see the how there? Then qualitative research methods will likely be used. And what do disability specialists in four-year private institutions perceive as most effective and least effective retention strategies for students diagnosed with learning disabilities? And here you see the word perceive used, which definitely tells the reader that this is going to be a qualitative analysis. Okay, now let's take a look at a roadmap to get you going on quantitative research questions. In this case, we're using the what, asking about numbers and percentages. So you're knowing that what number, what percentage, you're going to have a qualitative analysis. So what number, percentage of the topic of the paper for your participants at the location, such as the university or universities in a specific state or local area. And if you're using mixed methods, you can also use what or how sometimes as well, and then you tell the reader that you're going to use mixed methods afterwards. And you'll also know that from the choice of some of your survey instruments as well. Okay, now let's take a look at some of the most common research instruments used in capstone projects. First, we have the survey, which could be quantitative or qualitative, depending on what you're looking at. So if you want it to be more qualitative, it would be more open-ended questions, and closed-ended questions such as asking yes or no tend to be more quantitative. You can use both in a survey. You may also be looking at document analysis. You might use that if you're analyzing reports or documents. One student recently looked at university websites to analyze similarities and differences in mission statements as part of her capstone project. And another student reviewed NEASC reaccreditation reports. These are great examples of what would be considered document analysis in your capstone project. Another research instrument is the interview, and this could be in person, face to face, or remote by using the phone or Skype. Then another instrument you may consider are focus groups. Anytime you have a group of people being asked questions together, you consider that a focus group. And you might use this for maybe student or faculty input about your capstone project. Or you may conduct observation or site visits as part of your research. And now keep in mind that you may use one or more of these instruments for your capstone project. It just depends on what you're looking at and what you're trying to learn. And now also keep in mind that you should define the institutions in your method section. So specifically, you need to explain why you chose the institutions in your project and have a rationale for the explanation of your choice. So for example, if your project is focusing on small private colleges in the Connecticut area, explain why you made that choice. It should also indicate the number of colleges you tend to have in your study as well. You should have that in your methods section. And then you should define your participants in your capstone project. For your capstone projects, participants may include one or more of the following, depending on your topic. You may have students as participants, faculty, staff and administrators at the institution, area experts, for example, in accreditation or higher education legislation, or whatever else you're looking at as part of your capstone project. You may also include community or local members if that's part of your project, and you may even have business professionals included if that relates to your project in higher education. And then finally, I'll leave you with a few questions to consider and answer for your capstone participants. First, who are the participants in your project? Is it one group of those participants we just listed there, or a mix of some of those groups? Why did you choose those participants? And a hint for you is you need to be able to answer the research question and support your purpose statement. And then, how many participants do you anticipate will be part of your project and from which groups? So maybe you'll have 10 admissions directors from small colleges in Connecticut, or maybe your capstone project will include 5 faculty members and 5 administrators. Depending on what your topic is and what you're trying to answer in your capstone project. So that's the end of this presentation. I hope that you found this helpful, and if you have any questions, please email me as usual in the course room. Thanks so much for listening.